how often do you find yourself in the right place at the right time in a country that has just opened up to the world, but very few people have realized it yet, and even fewer have acted upon it, with a foot in the door, and finding yourself as like the first group of people who get to explore for an entire deposit type? And that's the position we found ourselves in about a year ago, at that exact confluence of space and time. So we came to BHP with a really bold idea. So based on a decade of working in Saudi, we had a hunch, and to be honest, a pretty good hunch, that there might be preserved porphyry systems hiding out there in the desert. And using a mineral systems framework, we want to be the first people to go out there, prove this, and then go and find these systems. So that mineral systems review took us about 5 months, but I'm going to condense that down to 20 seconds, because 5 months is way too long. OK, so what we found was a country with a really favorable tectonic architecture and history to generate melts. And we also found a really compelling story when it comes to preservation. This review vectored us in on what we considered to be almost completely underexplored belts that were almost entirely open for staking. Then leveraging this absolutely incredible new data set of hyperspectral imaging that's just become available over the shield, we were able to look for the kind of alteration signatures of porphyry systems directly. And that spectral data got us incredibly excited. It had about 60 candidate targets in it, and then we reduced that down to a pool of about 10 that we thought had the right kind of multi-kilometer scale and spectral signature to warrant follow-up fieldwork. So we got out in the field. What do we find? So in a country with basically no documented porphyry occurrences, by taking a really different approach, we discovered at least 5 large-scale advanced argillic alteration zones, with one target even showing extensive potassic alteration and associated copper mineralization. So this led us to frantically make license applications over what we believe to be all of the best systems in the entire country. And you won't have heard this story yet because you are the first people we've shared this with. I think even some of the people in the Xplor program hadn't really heard this yet. So let's dive into the discovery. Let's go. All right, so what you're looking at here is just one of the anomalies that we tested. It's about 2.5 kilometers across, and the spectral signature is pretty much completely indicative of what you'd expect from a high-level porphyry system. It also shows this really cool temperature gradient from the bottom left to the top right. And you'll notice as the temperature kind of increases, where you might be expecting to go into a higher temperature, kind of more into the sort of potassic alteration zone, that spectral signature stops, right? But if you know anything about spectral sensing, you'll know that potassic alteration does not show up in spectral sensing, no matter how much wizardry you try and throw at it. So you've got to get out in the field and see these things. And when we got out in the field, that is exactly what we found. We found potassic alteration over a really wide area with associated what looks to be relatively high-grade copper mineralization. So cool. Let me just take you into the field real quick, and then we'll come back to what all this means. Maybe if the slide thing works. Come on, you bugger. There we go. Cool. All right, so finding alteration systems, we were super excited with that, right? But finding mineralization associated with these systems, that really moves the dial, okay? And on this particular day, setting off before the suns even broke the horizon, although I guarantee you it is already 40 degrees centigrade at this point, we started finding secondary copper on almost all the boulders in this dry river, which pushed us on up this valley until eventually we came to this area of wide potassic alteration and outcropping copper mineralization, which, you know, in association with this massive alteration cell, it gave us confidence that, like, we're absolutely on the right tracks here. So I guess the question opens up, right? We're finding systems, but where are we in these systems? And that's a really key question for us to answer as a company. So we're looking at a number of targets, right? And they all have very subtle differences, but I would say in almost all situations, that spectral mixing is really indicative of, you know, putting yourself kind of in that high sulfidation epithermal environment, and therefore relatively close to a potential porphyry source. And in one case, like I said, we even saw potassic alteration and mineralization, which puts us tantalizingly close to the heart of the system. So we have got a really large-scale multi-element and spectral field sampling campaign coming up in the next few weeks, and we hope that's going to help us kind of really vector in on the economic hearts of these systems. But it also has this amazing upside potential. There might be preserved epithermal systems here as well, which is absolutely mad. OK, so I've shown you a little bit about where we've been as a company, but I want to tell you where we're going as a company. So it has been, as you might guess, an absolutely wild 9 months. To be honest with you, culminating in this moment right now, it's standing up in front of all these people is absolutely wild. But for me, the really exciting time is the next 9 months as we look to build partnerships with entities that can support the scale of the work that we think is now required. And there's a real opportunity here, right? We have applications over all of the major systems that fit our model in the entire country. And as a company that only set up 9 months ago, that is a completely wild situation to find yourselves in. And we are looking to grow rapidly as well, right? We're not going to sit on this. And so we've set about building a land holding of nearly 1,000 square K in the Central Arabian Gold Belt, using that same mineral systems approach, but this time for orogenic and epithermal gold systems. And if you take nothing away from this presentation other than this last thing, then I'll be a happy boy. But I want to really stress that the time to be exploring in Saudi Arabia is right now. It is not in 2 years. It is right now. All the opportunities are on the table here. And if you want to be one of the first people through that door with us, please come and find Marcus or myself after this. We would absolutely love to chat to you. Cool. All right. Thanks a lot for your time. Cheers to BHP.